Hey homeschool friends, welcome back to the channel. Welcome to today's video, which is where I get to talk all about my second grader, how her year went, how the curriculum choices went. Did they go well? Did they kind of tank? That's what this video is going to be about. I love making these kinds of videos. I guess more so I love reflecting on the past year. I love learning from what happened. I love being able to see the big picture so that I can see my individual child. And in this case, it was my 7-year-old daughter. And so she was 7 last June. And so I would say she's an early second grader. She definitely kind of straddles those two grades. It was like late first, early second grader. But I'm going to talk through my curriculum choices from last year. So here's the video from last June where I talked all about my plans for her, my goals for her, and I'm going to bring in some clips of what my plan was, and then I'm going to chat through how did it actually go. I want to be able to make sure that I am picking curriculum for her specifically, not because I use it with her brother, but if she handles the ones I use with her brother. I do like to stay with the same resources, but I want to consider her. I want to consider what we need, not kind of like what sounds good or what everybody else is using or different philosophies that I just can't make happen in my homeschool. And so that's what this video is going to be about. So stay tuned if you're interested in the curriculum that was amazing, as well as the curriculum that just didn't quite work. So hi, my name is Angie. Welcome if you're new here, or welcome back if you've been coming for a while. So like I said, we're going to be talking all about my second grader, my 7-year-old daughter in this video. How did her second grade year go? Kind of big picture, as well as small curriculum details. We're going to talk about all of that. And like I said in my son's video, which I just posted my third graders recap, is these are really just their individual subjects. So we're not going to be talking about any family subjects. I'm going to be reviewing all the Sonlight content here really soon, but this is just my daughter's individual stuff. So let's just hop in. So I started out last year's video with math. So for my daughter, we are doing Saxon math again. It just really has worked well for my family, and it's been working really well for my daughter. And so she's going to be moving into math 2. All right, as you can see, we used Saxon math, and for her we used Saxon math 2. She did great. It was a great fit. Really, I decided to use Saxon because of my older child, but my daughter has taken to it just fine. She's learning all her math facts. She's learning all the different math concepts. She's pretty intuitive when it comes to math. Some things have kind of tripped her up, but with a little bit of encouragement, I'm able to keep her going, because I think she tends to be my kid that will sometimes shut down if she expected to understand a math concept like right away and she didn't. It just kind of upsets her. So I do a lot of encouraging in those situations, but I think she's doing excellent. She's right where she should be. She's doing really well. And then when it comes to logic, and for my daughter, I will be using this book. And so this is the Mind Benders from the Critical Thinking Company. I'm using grade 1 and 2 for her. She's also doing really well with these little logic pages. I love logic. I especially love the mind bender puzzles. I think they're really fun. She enjoys them too. I feel like at this point she still needs me to help a little bit. I'm trying to pull back to see if she can kind of work through some of the logic herself, but oftentimes she needs kind of a little bit of me saying it a certain way for it to kind of click with what the clue is trying to tell her. But I think she's doing really well, especially now that she's near the end of the school year where she can read much better. You can almost hand it to her and she can read the whole thing, as opposed to the beginning of the school year when she couldn't really at all. So that's going really well. So that's math. Then next I talked about language arts, which is a much bigger encompassing subject. So let's just see what my plan was for this year. So the first thing for language arts for my daughter, and probably the most important thing for this year, is learning how to read. So I'm going to start with our phonics plans, and our phonics plans are Abeka. So I have Abeka grade 1 here for you. This is the teacher's guide for the whole language arts program for Abeka, but that is not how we use this. At this point, we just use it for the phonics and language and the readers on here. I don't use any of the other subjects. All right, so you can see my biggest plan for her, and my biggest goal really for her, was to learn how to read this year. And I kept that forefront. Actually, I think that went really well. So I was able to remind myself over and over and over again that my goal for her second grade year was to learn to read. And so that meant that things like spelling and other things that might come up that I wanted her to do, I did not feel as tied to because I really wanted her to focus on the skills of reading. And so yes, she did excellent. So like I showed you, we were using Abeka grade 1 with her plus the grade 1 readers. It works really well. You guys, Abeka works well for my kids. I feel like it's a very stepwise process with teaching special sounds, teaching certain rules for reading, as well as all of the worksheets in the spiral practice. It just works really well for my kids. I feel like she was able to kind of make slow and steady steps. And the readers we started the beginning of the year with versus the ones she's reading now, it's a complete difference. And I think the program's excellent, but I also think this was the year when it just clicked for her. Honestly, I think that's how reading works. There's a time when there's enough learning that it just clicks. And so she loves it. She loves the fact that now she has her own little readers. So not just like the Abeka readers, she has like Katie Woo readers, she has Billy B. Brown readers. We have a lot of different things, which I will be making a video on the readers for each of my kids because I feel like that is where the excitement comes from reading. So yes, I teach them to read with the Abeka program and the Abeka readers. But the idea that they have their own books and they can read them at night, like I got her a little book light, she felt so proud of herself and it just pushed her to read more and read more. And the more she's reading, the better she's getting. So I'm just loving it. I'm so very proud of her. So yes, that was it. I mean, honestly, I could stop the video here and say my goal was met. She did amazing in her second grade year, but I'll continue telling you more about what I had planned for language arts. So to cover the majority of the rest of language arts, I decided to give Sonlight Language Arts another try. So we tried it a little bit last year. I wasn't quite ready for it, but I am excited to jump back into it for both my son and my daughter. So for my daughter, I have Sonlight Language Arts level 2 planned for her. As you can see here, as I'm flipping through kind of the lesson plans, it has a number of different components involved. It has a spelling component, which this is how we're going to be doing our spelling. Okay, so you can see that I brought up that I was bringing back Sonlight Language Arts, which I've made a number of videos, which I can link above, as to how that's gone. I feel like it's gone really well once I was able to dial back some of my expectations and use the program how I needed it, not how it was written. So we started the year off with using the Sonlight spelling. That really didn't work for either of my kids. And like I was saying, spelling was not the most important thing for my daughter, especially at the beginning of the year. So we dropped it fairly quickly. And then we are also using the readers for Sonlight. And so when it comes to readers, I'm holding this all loosely because I did just show you that I have a bunch of readers from Abeka, which are tied into the Phonics program, which I really like, and I think that really helps them out. But I also have a lot of really wonderful readers from Sonlight. And I have both the level 1 readers, which you see here, as well as the level 2 readers. We didn't really even use the readers. I showed you the readers in that clip. My plan is actually to take those readers and use them for our summer reading, which is another video that will be coming shortly because she's so very ready for them. Actually, she really doesn't need those level 1 readers. Her skills are more in the level 2 Sonlight readers, so we'll be doing those this summer and it will be really fun. But we did not use them last year because the Abeka readers were enough. I felt like I would have been pushing her too much if I would have also added on the Sonlight readers. So I just didn't. I kept it right where she needed. I could tell when she was getting really fatigued in reading, and we just ended there. And the other thing about the Sonlight Language Arts that I am super excited about is this creative expression section. And so this is where they do a lot of copywork application, which is like grammar concepts and punctuation and things like that. That's where they kind of learn all those concepts, as well as the creative expression. So this is where kind of the wheels came off the bus last year for me, but I have been doing a lot of reading and researching, and I am really drawn by this natural method for teaching writing, and copywork is very central to that. So I love the fact that Sonlight draws its copywork from its readers most of the time. So it's things that she is reading, and I'm also thinking of bringing in some Brave Writer concepts here with the copywork from Sonlight, because in the Sonlight Language Arts it just has 1 day of copywork, but I also love how Brave Writer does like French dictation and reverse dictation to kind of work on a little bit of spelling, a little bit of understanding where punctuation is. And so I'm thinking of kind of myself modifying those copywork passages to bring in some of those elements to enrich my ability to teach them some of the mechanics and grammar of language. But as you saw, we did use other aspects of the Sonlight Language Arts program being the copy work and the creative expression. So I talked in here about copy work and about bringing in brave writer ideas. Did I do that? No. No, I did not. I have realized, and I know this, but I know I can't add extra. I can't take a program and be like, I'm going to take a little bit of this, I'm going to take a little bit of that, and I'm going to make my own little program organically. I don't do that. I don't have time for that. My kids are at the ages where they just need me a lot. I can't just sit around and like craft these things. I had that idea. I'm really inspired by Brave Writer, kind of like I'm really inspired by Charlotte Mason. Both of those ideas I have since dropped. So those have been, I wouldn't call them curriculum fails. I mean, Charlotte Mason isn't even a curriculum, but philosophy fails, I guess might be it, is I just can't do it. I know Brave Writer is too loosey-goosey for me. I've known that. That's why I've never used it. I always look at it and then I realize I can't use it. But I can't even integrate it into my Sonlight copywork. I'm just not going to do that. Same with like the creative writing. Although I feel like I have been able to bring some Brave Writer ideas, more like concepts of how to not push on the composition piece, how to make it still very fun, still very much encouraging their inner writer and like their creativity and not paying any attention to spelling and things like that. So with my daughter though, as opposed to my son, which I talked about a few days ago, I just let him write and I didn't care about spelling. With her, we're not even there yet. I was fully typing everything we did with the creative expression for Sonlight, and that worked amazing. She is still at the point where you even ask her a question and she kind of freezes. She's like, what do you want from me? I'm not just gonna go here. So I do a lot of like leading. I was like, well, you could start a sentence this way. How does that sound? Then what would happen? And with her, what's funny is I know what I think she should say. Say, for instance, we are writing a paragraph on like her ballet class. And so if I'm like, okay, well, let's talk about that, and she won't have anything to say, I'll suddenly be like, are we talking about going to the zoo? And she's like, no, we're talking about going to ballet class. I was like, oh, how would you say that then? And I was like, you could start like this. And then I'd have her say it. Like, it's almost like I need to spark what she should say. And then she'll just talk and she'll be like, oh yeah, well at ballet class we get to pick out our outfits and we get to perform on stage. And suddenly I'm just like typing like crazy, but she just gets that initial kind of freezing moment. And so that's how I've helped. That's how I felt like her need as a 7-year-old is for mostly me to do it and me to try to tap into her creativity, tap into her thoughts, and then type it all and help her structure it all and not worry about it, not expect her to have good sentences. I'll sometimes just write exactly what she says, and sometimes I'll be like, oh, I think let's say it like this, and I'll help her out. And so I do both, and it's been really well. It's taken a lot of the stress out of something like creative expression or composition because she's a 7-year-old. I'm not worried, but I do like to set some foundations and get some habits and get some confidence. That's really my goal with creative expression at a 7-year-old level, is to encourage her inner writer and give her the confidence that she has something to say. So that's Sonlight. So let me roll the clip of what else we did. I do have a couple other areas of language arts that are more independent in nature, and these I need to be independent because I need some time to be able to work with my twins. And so what I have for my daughter is a handwriting program. And so we went back to Danielian. I love Danielian handwriting. I think it's very natural for the kids. I feel like my daughter really excels at using Danielian. All right, so now I remember that it was just handwriting, which makes sense because we pretty much just did handwriting. When I was planning things out last June, I did add spelling UC to her around the mid-year time frame. It also wasn't my favorite. We're kind of continuing it because my plan is to switch her into probably Logic of English come next year, but I haven't quite decided. Stay tuned for my June curriculum videos and you can see what my exact plan is, but I did a little spelling UC with her as well. The Danielian handwriting was great. Spelling UC was just fine. It was fine. The other thing I have that's more independent, that's just for my daughter, is her handicraft. And now last year she learned finger knitting and she loves it and she still does it. She uses it to make presents for people and things like that. And I thought about doing kind of knitting for her, but she ended up taking a knitting class at her enrichment school and she loves that. She's also taking musical theater at her enrichment school. We're starting her in dance this summer. So I feel like there's a lot of things going on with her. The only other thing that I feel like is more of an enrichment within our homeschool that is not associated with her school is we are going to be trying to do more art, more drawing, and this is kind of driven by nature study. We want to do more nature study, but the kids want to work on their drawing, so we're going to be picking up some artistic pursuits, as well as this program, which I did pick up from The Good and the Beautiful. It's their watercolor around the world template sheets, which I think this comes in grade 5 for The Good and the Beautiful. All right, so you saw that enrichment was next, and I talked through the fact that, yeah, pretty much I didn't do anything extra. I was thinking about doing some stuff, but she has a lot of fun things she does at enrichment school. She started dance and she's doing great with her dance. And so, no, again, I talked about this in my son's video. I'm going to stop. I'm going to stop including this last piece of enrichment. It's like I feel like I need more than just math and language arts, but I don't. Our homeschool is very rich and robust, especially with all the books we read with Sonlight and all the extra classes they take at their enrichment school. No, I'm going to stop. I'm going to stop making myself feel like I need to add all these things. But I think that's it, you guys. I think that is all I had for my daughter. Overall, like I said, super successful year. The fact that she was able to read, she's in such a better spot. She's really enjoying her readers. She's super jazzed for any summer reading program we're going to set up. So stay tuned for kind of my plans for summer reading. It's going to be great. She's so excited. I love how excited she is, honestly. I mean, I love books, and the fact that my kids are loving books is just close to my heart. So, yes, I hope this was helpful to kind of see how my year went from kind of beginning planning to execution to kind of the end of the year, and how that progress went and how I'm able to see the progress in my daughter. And so that's like success, right? That's success as a homeschooler. So anyway, let me know down below, how did your year go? Are you also able to see that progress in your child? Let me know. I want to celebrate all that stuff with you guys. And so that's what I have. So give the video a thumbs up if you want to, and subscribe to the channel. And otherwise, I will see you guys in the next homeschool video. All right, take care. Bye.